Hi everyone and welcome. It's great having you with us here today. So I'm Olav Helland from Bsure, joined by my colleague Gunnar Weld, who's our CTO. If there should be any questions along the way, we're both co-founders of Bsure. So this session is for those of you that's still using our version 1 of Bsure Insights. So today we'll show you what's new in our new version 2 and how you can move over from your existing version. And this is how we will spend our time today. First, we'll take a look at why we built a new version. So what we learned from the version 1 and what's improved in our new one. We'll spend most of our time doing a live demo where we're gonna install the new version. We're gonna migrate data from the old version 1, and we'll take a look at how settings are configured in version 2. And we'll also, in the end, take a look at how you remove the old version. We've set aside 45 minutes, so there should be time for a Q&A at the end. So feel free to drop questions in the chat along the way. We might also be able to answer some of your questions while we run the demo, as there will be some time waiting when we do the installation. So let's start with the reason behind the version 2 and what's changed and why. So the version 1 we have for most of our clients today has served us well. It's been running solid in production for some time and already helped many organizations gain visibility and control in their Entra IDs. But over time, we also learned a few lessons. As you probably know, version 1 was built on 2 separate parts. One was the data collector engine running in Azure, and we had a separate Power BI application that you had to install separately and connect to the data collected. So, and every time we came with a new version of our Power BI app, you as a customer had to upgrade it. And we had no visibility into what version of the Power BI app our clients were running. So some of you upgraded quickly, others did not at all. So whenever we had to roll out new functionality, we had to keep it backwards compatible all the time. One more thing that customers have kept asking us throughout the month and quarters and now years is that they also would in the future want to be able to act on the data they see. So why can't I just remove these guest users directly from Bsure? Typical question. And that type of functionality was not possible to do when we had a pure Power BI app front end. So in short, the architecture in version 1 is solid for reporting. Power BI is really good at that, but it held us back from moving towards a more kind of interactive and intelligent platform going forward. So in the summer of 2024, we started a full rebuild, a new platform and architecture from the ground up, and we launched this version rather silently. I don't know, Gunnar, it's a little bit more than a month ago. We've taken it gradually, and we have had some like new customers on it, and also migrated the 1-to-1 around 25 maybe existing version 1 customers. So the goal of the first release of this version 2 was to have full feature parity with version 1. So essentially the same type of reports as you have in version 1, but with a new, more modern foundation. So let's move to the next slide. So what do you actually get in version 2 at the moment? So first of all, the new web frontend makes everything much simpler to use and configure. So you can now set up subscription prices, select the application and groups you want to monitor directly in the web interface, and you don't have to edit those Azure tables anymore to add your own prices. We have also introduced the possibility to do refreshes on demand. So typically, if you make a change in Enter ID and you want to see the change in the application the same day, you can trigger a new data collection and Power BI refresh from the application. So it will update when that refresh is done. Takes different amount of time depending on the size of your organization, of course. And as for updates, when we will release new features going forward, patches and fixes, we will do that from centrally and keep track of the new version with every client. So that means you will always be on the latest version, and you don't have to update the Power BI app anymore. In parallel with getting this new version 2 in place, we've been working on new features that will be launched later this fall and more into next year. One thing is that in version 2 now, there is kind of the foundation for having role-based access, meaning that you can add users and only give them access to the reports, and they are not admins at the same time. We will expand that going forward, so you can have different types of roles to only select the reports, or even have custom roles dependent on your organization needs. On the performance side, so there is always a Azure infrastructure running cost when we have such an Azure managed application. The good news for you guys is that so far we've seen about 70% reduction in the Azure running cost. We can talk a little bit more about why later on when we do the demo. The installation itself takes around 15 minutes, and there are of course some dependencies on how large your organization is and how long the initial data collection takes before you can finish all the configurations needed in the app after installation. And as the topic is today, we support migrating the historical data from version 1 into the version 2. So that was about it for the introduction. So let's jump over to look at some things in practice. I'll share my second screen here. So most of you are probably familiar with our documentation site, docs.bsure.io. If it's some time since you visited it, you will see that we now have 2 versions. So if you're still on version 1 and look for something, you can use the version 1 of the documentation, but the default one is now version 2. What we'll cover today is the installation and migration and a few of the prereqs for it. So let's jump right into it. Quick look at the prereqs. Not going to spend too much time on it, but we deliver version 2 after exactly the same principles as we did with version 1. It's still an Azure managed application hosted in your own Azure subscription. You need a minimum level of your Enter ID in order for us to be able to collect data. The installing user must be a global admin as before. This is due to the permissions that's being set and granted the managed identities during installation. One thing though is running this script from the Azure Cloud Shell requires the authentication using device code flow, and it's become more and more common to block that. So I'll show a little bit more about that later on. You need to be owner and so on the subscription. Also, since we now control the Power BI workspace from the application, your Power BI tenant settings must allow that service principals can call the Fabric public API. We can look at the details while we have some spare time during the installation later on. So let's move to the next part of the installation. I'm not going to read all this, but I'm going to use this Azure Marketplace link, and we're going to trigger a new installation. At the moment, our version 1 is still available in the marketplace, but we're working on removing it. So, but the correct version 2 is this one with our new blue logo and this name. So let's just kick it off, and we can take a look at how it looks in the resource group I have in my demo environment in just a minute. We like Norway East here in Norway. So whenever you install something, a managed application, you need to give it a name. This is only the name given the resource name that will be residing in the resource group you install to. So I call this Bsure Insights migration demo. I go next. I'm not going to tag it. You can if you want to. So the deployment of the app is a lot simpler in our Azure Marketplace in version 2 than in version 1. So what happens is that we just ship some empty containers to the application, and later during the first configuration run, we fill those containers with content. So this co-admin permission is mandatory to accept. That means that Bsure as a publisher have access to the managed resource group that contains the components in the application, so that we are able to patch and update them. So let me kick it off. So this is now in progress. Usually it takes 4 or 5 minutes. Let's see if the demo gods are with us today. Let me jump over to the resource group I'm installing to. It's called RG Migration Demo. As you can see here, I have a version of Bsure Insights 1. I also have in version 1, we had a separate storage account for the data. And these are version 1. The Bsure Insights version 2 here is just a version 2 installation I made in advance if something would go wrong during the demo. So it's fine to install the version 2 alongside with the version 1 in the same resource group. While this is running, we can take a look at what I talked about using device code flow. I recommend testing that you can authenticate with device code flow before starting the application, and you can do that quite simple by just opening an Azure Cloud Shell. I can show you. Always takes a few seconds before it's logged on. And if I just type connect mg graph, and I can just hit enter. You can add the parameter, use device code, but it's default when you try to connect from the Azure Cloud Shell. And then I get a code, I copy that one, and this link you get in the shell is clickable, and it opens the device code authentication in a new tab. And I know it works in my demo tenant. If you get an error here, it's most likely due to a conditional access policy that doesn't allow you to do this operation. It can be due to device code flows are blocked from using. It could also be that you have geographical restrictions on from where you can run log on in this way. So if you do a test and it fails and you wait 5 minutes, take a look at the sign-in log from your user, and you will see what conditional access policies that blocked you. But if you can, if you verify that you can connect to Microsoft Graph using this method, you are good to go. I'll close this one out. Let's take a look on. Yeah. So what to do while we wait. During the installation, if you are curious to see what's happening, you can see here it's deployment is in progress to this subscription and this resource group. If I now open this resource group in a new tab, I can see that my new application is being deployed here. It says still being provisioned. So, and every managed application have a managed resource group connected to it. So this resource group here that's called MRG with some dates at the end, this is the resource group that actually contains the components in our application. It's soon finished. I think we have 20 resources, Gunnar, so it's probably just wrapping up at the moment. Yeah, you can also see here what's happening during the deployment. It looks like most of it is done. So let's go back here and do a refresh. It's always some extra seconds before it completes. There we go. So when the deployment is complete, you will go to the resource and we come the same place as I was before. Then we go into the managed resource group. And as you can see, we are now using a lot of container apps and container app jobs. I don't know if you remember in our first version where we used Azure Functions mostly and the storage account. And as you can see here, we also have a SQL database for the data now. What I'm looking for now is the container app called Customer App. This one, I open it. This one has a URL, which is the URL for Bsure Insights version 2. And now we can start the initial configuration. And this is the part where we're gonna give permissions to the applications to be able to read information from your entry ID. If you want to, you can show the script there and read through it if you want to, or just copy the script to your clipboard, launch a Cloud Shell. I shouldn't have closed the one I had to save some time, but okay, I did. And you right click here and paste, and it will load the script and start doing the tasks in it. So it takes a few seconds to install and load the Microsoft Graph modules that will be used when running the script. As soon as those are initialized, I will be prompted to sign in with the device code we tested earlier. And that you should watch this, because when you get the device code and the prompt to authenticate, the device code is only valid for 2 minutes. I copy this one. Okay, I can close that one, and now the script continues to run. So now it's creating the some app registrations for the web application, a redirect URI and so on.
And it's assigning exactly the same permissions as the version 1 had, so there is no need for any additional permissions or stuff like that. So it is you as the client that will assign permissions to the app into your environment, and those permissions are exactly the same in this version as it was in the previous one.
So far, the demo gods are with us today. So it's, I don't think it's related to our application, but we've experienced some days that Azure might haven't been too responsive, and the deployments took longer. But lately, it's been good. We're pretty close now to it being finished. Yeah. If I go back here, so this long URL, it's some people might think it's too long and don't like it. So if you would prefer to have your own custom domain, that is possible, but not without including us in Bsure at the moment. We will build that in later, but it's possible to accomplish. But you need to contact us, and we can help you if you want to have kind of a custom domain, like something like that, instead of that long customer app container app URL. Let me see, where did I have my script here? Now it's done. It says go back to the installation page and click continue. Let's do that. I think it was this. No, not that one. This one. I go continue here. So now I'm prompted to log on. So now I'm authenticated with my Entra ID user, and we have a few more steps in the configuration wizard. So this will initialize the SQL database. Yeah, Gunnar, you can add what's actually happening here because that's your domain.
Yeah, it's just establishing the different schemas and the table structures right now, because it needs to be present before the web application and the data collector will start populating it with data. So it's just preparing the database.
Yeah, so let's go back. While that runs, it takes a few minutes. I can show you one more thing. So I said that for Bsure Insights to be able to create Power BI workspaces, your Power BI tenant must allow service principals to be able to call the Fabric public API. The way to check that is to go to your Power BI. If you are a global admin, you do have access to the admin portal. And under tenant settings, you can, well, this settings page is longer than, well, longest. So you could just search for develop and you get the developer settings. And here you can see service principal can call Fabric public APIs is enabled. In some organizations, this is disabled, and in some it says Microsoft can enable this when they want to. Some organizations has specified certain security groups that can do this. So the way to do that would be to add a group called something like that, if you have a specific group for it. And then you could go to that group, but first you would need to know which service principal to add, and that is the one. This container app job have a service principal that needs to be able to call the Fabric public API, and you can search for that one and select it and add it to the group that's configured in your Power BI settings. I'm not going to do that now, but
yeah, you need both. You need the update and the update scheduler in order to make it work. So there is two of them that in order for it to work.
Okay, perfect. Let's see how it goes with the configuration. So now the database has been configured. We go to the next step. These are the retention settings. You might remember from version 1 that you chose those during the installation. It's simply telling how long should we keep data that we collect before we start deleting the oldest data. It doesn't have much to say for costs. It's more about what the policy in your organization is for keeping data. So the last step is to create the Power BI workspace. I'll trigger that one off because it takes a few minutes.
I can elaborate a bit on the retention times, because that is about people tends to be kind of scared of for how long should I keep data in my solution. It's all about the reasoning why you actually collect this data. And this is perhaps for financial stuff, if you want to allocate cost over a year. Now there should be no reason why you cannot choose a year of retention in order to see when an application was used, which licenses was assigned for a long time ago, and such things. So, and it's also available. So it's different from the previous version where you actually set it in the initial installation. Now you can actually change this if you decide for some other retention period inside the app later on.
So I knew this would take maybe 5 minutes. So what I wanted to talk about also when that happened is how you can remove version 1 when everything is done. So let's go back to my my resource group. Okay, it was not here. I'm going to find it here. This is the one. So now here I have Bsure version 1 and the storage account. These belong to version 1. If I delete these two, version 1 in Azure is gone. Likewise, you have a Power BI workspace. Well, this is a demo environment, so we have a lot of demo installation. But if you see the workspace with a logo B, that's your version 1 workspace. When you're happy and everything is over on version 2, you can go to this one and go to workspace settings. And if you scroll down, there's an option here to remove the workspace, and that will remove the version 1 Power BI application. So we are here. Now it's done. Let's go to the application. And the first landing page here is a system status page. What will happen now, there will be a initial data collection done, and after that, there will be a Power BI data refresh triggered. It should happen pretty soon here. While we wait for that, I can show some of the menu settings. If you look on the menu structure here, it's the same as in version 1. It's just that it's web native, the menu itself. We've added customer settings here. On this page, all my license subscriptions will be shown, and this is where I will be able to add my own prices. We have an applications menu where you can browse for and add application you want to see in the application cost report. Same goes for groups. You can add groups. It will be look up the groups from your Enter ID, and you can pick the ones you want and add a cost to be. If there's a cost related to being a member of that group, you can add that cost as well, and you can see the report for those groups in the groups report. And finally, but not least, this is also where you add users to Bsure. At the moment, we only have 2 roles, super admin and member. So the difference between them is that the super admin can do configurations and customer settings, but a member user will only have access to the reports. Anything to add to that, Gunnar?
Yes, and within 14 days or so, you will be able to assign different reports to the different persons within your organization.
Yeah. So now the data collector has started and it's in progress. This is a fairly small tenant, so it will soon be finished. For doing the migration, it's safe to start it as soon as the subscriptions have appeared here. Isn't that true, Gunnar?
Yes.
I think we can do it for now at least. So in order to start the migration, we have a hidden page that's called. It's also described on the support section of our documentation, but you simply add admin settings /migration to the URL. And now we need the connection string from the storage account that holds our data in version 1. So I'll quickly go and find that one. There we go, copy it. And now that was I'm making sure I was on the correct one. And now that has the status of pending. You might want to make a point, Gunnar, on how we handle that connection string.
Yeah. So you can't delete version 1 before you actually done the migration and it's finalized and it's okay. So and you will not be invoiced like double and stuff like that because that is handled by us. So the connection string is just sent through a service bus message, and as soon as it's consumed, it's deleted. So we don't store it, and we don't have access to the storage account key either. This job may take a while, since the data we are migrating is the configurations that you've done, like prices on the licenses, if you added some groups and some applications previously, all the sign-in events for the users, and also the attributes and license assigned to the users over time. So it is an amount of data that will be provisioned or copied into the SQL database from the storage account. So it may take a while, but you can just continue using the app. And as Olav is showing now, you have this page with a bell up with his name. This is showing all the activities going on. So now the collector was finalized, and now it started updating the Power BI. So you won't need to do this refresh settings on the Power BI semantic model as you did previously. You also see that you have buttons in order to refresh Power BI inside the application. So let's say you change some prices, you can click this refresh button.
Yeah. So now it's already migrated. As you can see, the prices from my version. Oh, that was not what I tried to do. I wanted to make a square there. These prices are migrated from my version 1. It's still like you have to choose to show the list price or the customer price, as you are familiar with in version 1. But the difference now it's that it's set on this page and that it will apply to all users of the application. So now you see a change to Norwegian kroner. I must add that I think we have 2 bugs in the migration of prices. One of them being that you can see some of the prices here are set to -1. Those are the prices that wasn't set in version 1. They come over as -1. So it would be good to go through all the -1s and set them to 0. Also, a difference from version 1 is that prices are now set on subscriptions and not on licenses. So if you have more than one subscription on the same license, you can add different prices. So as you can see, I have two business basic licenses, but they are the same. They are the same price in this example. But let's say I go in and say this is a monthly license, so it costs 20% more than the other one with an annual term. I can do that. And when I do that, I also trigger a calculation of the average license price for that SKU. Before you do, so after you have migrated data, I would recommend going through the prices, doing changes, setting those -1 to 0, and then we can trigger a Power BI refresh. Now I click the button and trigger the Power BI refresh. Because if you don't set any prices here after migration and you have chosen to show customer price, the license reports won't show the calculated correct license price. Let's take a look and see. You will get one sign into Power BI from when you open a Power BI report after the first run. Now you can see I have data in my report, as we can see, and it's still showing US dollars, and that's because the latest Power BI refresh I did haven't finished yet. Let's see if I have any notes I I've forgotten. Else the reports are the same as you had in version 1 for now. We can take a look at maybe adding a user. So let's say I wanted to add the Gunnar as a user here. I could search him. I search for name. Okay, so this is Gunnar's demo user. I add him. And then I get a list of the users I have added and the role they get. So this role is added to the enterprise application that's registered in your Enter ID for the customer app.
Yeah, if you click the configuration section, Olav, we just show that you can actually change the retention time afterwards yourself. So now you remember we set 400 days. You can choose to set 30, 90, whatever, and also a custom number.
Yeah, and if for some reason the version 2 Power BI workspace were to be deleted, it can be recreated from this menu also. So now I think let's see, it haven't refreshed the Power BI the second time yet. Let's take a look. No, not yet. Okay.
There is also a limitation, Olav, when it comes to how many times you can press the refresh Power BI. And that is 8.
Yeah, if your Power BI workspace is running on a Power BI Pro level, you can do a refresh of the semantic model 8 times a day. If it's on a premium workspace, it's a lot higher. But 8 should be sufficient in your daily daily work.
If you click on the groups section, Olav, under customer settings, because many, not that one, but this one, many have asked for the option to refresh the data shown in the reports at their own wish. So now you have the option to actually just press the run collector. It will run a complete collection of your data, and it will also update Power BI afterwards. Depending on the size of your organization, it can take from 15 minutes to a couple of hours.
So yeah, I think we need to wrap up and see if there are any questions. Yeah. But now we can see it's a Norwegian kroner here now, and I can take a look at the licenses overview, and it should show the few licenses I have in this tenant and the cost in Norwegian kroner. I think I'll stop sharing, and we can open for a few questions at the end.
We forgot to say that it's open for, you can just book time if you want help with the installation, or if you want someone to actually follow you through the installation itself. We are more than willing to help.
Yeah, I can show real quick here. So if you go to our homepage, there is a book a meeting somewhere here. I think it's on this one, book a meeting. So and there is a help with installation error, so you can just book time with us, and if you don't want to try on your own, and we are happy to assist with the install. Well, then 45 minutes sharp. If not any questions, I say thank you for joining. And
but we need them to give them time to ask the question.
Yeah.
Now it's just a thank you in the meeting chat. So then I think we're good. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Good luck
please
with the
reach out
upgrade
if any questions.
Thank you.